Climate change had destroyed the majority of the world's plants by 2092, rendering the planet nearly uninhabitable. A corporation known as the UTS constructs a new orbiting home for humanity that mimics Earth's natural processes. However, only a few chosen individuals are permitted to live there, and even fewer can become citizens. Those who remain on Earth have to deal with polluted air, high taxes, and extreme poverty. Sullivan, the founder of UTS, is working on growing genetically modified plants on Mars to create a new Earth. He tells a group of reporters about his plans, announcing that the grand opening of a Mars colony is imminent. One of the reporters calls him out because previous projects have only benefited the elite while leaving thousands of people on Earth, not to mention the debris flying faster than bullets in space. Workers known as space sweepers must risk their lives to clean up the debris, which they then sell as their sole source of income. Sullivan admits his plans aren't perfect and agrees to speak with the reporter privately. On Earth, Tae-ho is desperate to find his daughter and tries to pay the authorities with the little rice he has left so that he can see the latest body to arrive at the morgue. They're used to him doing this and rush him to the morgue, but it's another false alarm. The following day, a large piece of debris collides with a satellite near the solar battery charging area. A group of space sweepers rushes to capture it with their ships, but they are abruptly interrupted by the arrival of a ship called Victory. Android Bubs stands on top of the ship, throwing a harpoon with a rope attached to a piece of debris. Then Victory takes off, prompting the other sweepers to pursue them. Bubs begins rolling the rope to bring in the debris, while Tiger handles the ship's machinery to ensure it runs quickly and smoothly. When other ships approach and attempt to steal the loot, Captain Zhang uses Victory's arm to easily push them away. Then pilot Tae-ho takes a risk and flies Victory around the solar panels, flying through tight spaces to avoid being followed. This almost causes them to collide with the residential area, but Tae-ho maneuvers the ship just in time, and they only damage an antenna. Then they enter the factory, a waste management satellite. Tae-ho sells all of the materials they've gathered, but the pay is low, and they also have to pay for the antenna and the associated taxes. In the end, the team is left with debt. Tae-ho reacts badly, so the clerk threatens him with a knife to calm him down. The news shows a missing sign for an android named Dorothy, who was stolen from UTS 2 days ago by extremists known as Black Foxes. The girl appears innocent, but she is actually a weapon, so if civilians see her, they should contact security rather than approach her. However, Tae-ho pays little attention and departs. That evening, the Victory crew is tense due to their debt situation. An argument ensues which quickly escalates into a physical altercation, rendering the humans unconscious. Bubs puts her money away in a box, revealing that she is the only one who has been saving properly. Her dream is to have a better body with synthetic skin. Later, the crew goes out to work on the debris they found, which turns out to be a broken ship in surprisingly good condition, given that it came from an area full of nanobots that eat metal. Suddenly, some lights inside the ship turn on, prompting them to open the cargo box and observe a slew of airbags floating out. They are taken aback when Dorothy appears among them. They take her into Victory, and Tae-ho can't stop thinking about his own daughter as he looks at her. At that point, the news shows the missing ad again, and the crew becomes terrified when they learn she is a weapon, fleeing for cover when she opens her mouth. However, she is just sneezing. The crew then flees to their rooms to plan their next move. Tae-ho appears again to try to tie her up, but as soon as she moves, he becomes terrified and hides behind some metal. At that point, he notices she has a bag, which he grabs and takes to his room to examine its contents. There is a phone with a lot of missed calls for someone named Dr. Kang, as well as some paperwork from UTS bearing the same name. The crew decides to fly toward a non-citizen residential district. They leave the ship, but Dorothy stays behind. When she is alone, she reveals a power that causes a dead plant to bloom. Meanwhile, the crew meets at a bar to discuss what to do. Tiger attempted to contact the police and was left waiting, but Tae-ho believes they can make good money by selling Dorothy to the Black Foxes. An argument ensues, and after they all reach an agreement, Tae-ho pulls out a machine that distorts his voice and is untraceable. He calls Dr. Kang and shows him a video of Dorothy, requesting $2 million in exchange for the girl. Kang immediately agrees to pay, and the two decide on a meeting location. While the crew prepares for the exchange, an alert sounds in the computer indicating that the police are approaching. They immediately remove the disguises and hide the girl, appearing normal just before an officer arrives. The cop explains that his station received a call from the ship and notices Tiger gesturing towards someone behind a door. With a taser in hand, he enters the room to look for anything suspicious, but Dorothy sneaks around and always remains hidden. Tae-ho takes some of Bubs' savings and places them in the cop's hands before the man pushes him away. However, the money is still in his fingers, and Bubs has recorded everything, so Jang threatens to report him unless he leaves. Tae-ho and Tiger then put on their costumes again and head to a club in the commercial district for the exchange. While Tiger keeps Dorothy safe in a bag, Tae-ho goes to meet Kang, who surprises him from behind and searches for weapons before telling him to move. Some guards gather on a nearby balcony to prepare to shoot. The duo meets Tiger and Kang hands him a suitcase containing the money. But when they open the bag, they discover Dorothy has vanished. The girl is wandering through the dancing crowd, which freezes when they see a child. At that point, everyone's devices begin to display Dorothy's missing ad, and they take a step back in fear. The guards open fire, and Tae-ho pulls her out of the way just in time. But the shots destroy the DJ booth, causing chaos as everyone flees in panic. Kang continues to try to reach Dorothy, but the running crowd pushes him forward. As Tae-ho and Tiger search for Kang, a guard notices them and fires directly at them. But Dorothy's power creates a shield that absorbs all of the bullets. The guards keep shooting until there is no one left in the room, believing they have killed their targets. However, the guys were able to sneak away with Dorothy and are now leaving in victory. Because the ship is damaged, they must remain in the factory. After chastising them for failing, Yang destroys Dorothy's phone, believing the guards used it to track them. She saved Kang's phone number so that they could contact him using their own communicator. Meanwhile, Sullivan is speaking with his scientific team about the nanobots on Mars that are attempting to build plants and even an ocean. Someone brought him Dorothy's goggles from the club, and he keeps staring at them while lecturing his team, saying they must find proof that there is no hope on Earth. His veins turn dark as he wiggles in pain. Dorothy later asks Tae-ho for scissors, which she uses to cut off the tomatoes that had grown on the plant. Tae-ho is impressed and takes Dorothy with him to sell them to other sweepers, earning money while also bonding. Then it's Bubs' turn to watch over Dorothy, and they share makeup. While they talk, Bubs' scan uncovers a secret about Dorothy, but the girl shifts the subject to Tae-ho. According to Bubs, Tae-ho was a child soldier who spent the majority of his life surrounded by violence. One day, while on a mission, his team killed a mother, and he discovered a baby in her arms. Instead of sending her to Earth, as the rules required, he adopted her as his daughter. He soon discovered that the mission's explosion had left her deaf, and he blamed himself, so he was no longer capable of causing harm to others. This prompted UTS to fire him, and they ended up in a poor neighborhood. Tae-ho's daughter wandered off one evening while he was trying to make money. Suddenly, some space debris crashed in the neighborhood, killing thousands of people and sending the rest running in terror. Tae-ho couldn't find his daughter amid the chaos and watched in horror as part of the town flew away into space. Later, the authorities stated that they had about 3 years to find the body, after which there would be no chance of recovery because the debris would be too far away. A search company could have been hired to find her quickly, but he couldn't afford it. Tae-ho is still looking for her, which is why he joined the sweeper crew. Bub's story is interrupted when some court agents discover her with Dorothy. At that point, the ship's phone began to ring, and Tae-ho attempted to rush to it, but the agent stopped him. A desperate Tae-ho simply pushes them away and receives the call, during which he agrees to a new meeting with Kang. Unfortunately, court agents seize Victory and announce that it is now the property of the bank due to the crew's debt. Tiger admits in private that he no longer wants to sell Dorothy because he is concerned about what they will do to her, but Tae-ho needs the money to find his daughter, and the crew needs to reclaim the ship. When Dorothy enters the bathroom, a man follows her. The crew hears her scream and realizes she has been kidnapped. The crew immediately begins looking for her, and Tiger recalls the tunnels, so he enters to find a man taking Dorothy away. During the chase, Tiger loses sight of them, but Tae-ho unexpectedly rescues Dorothy from the kidnapper. The guy then pulls out a blade, only for Tae-ho to quickly bring him down with his military training. Unfortunately, the man is not alone, and more masked criminals appear just as Tiger returns, angrily beating them all up in a matter of minutes. Jang also arrives and unmasks the leader, revealing the clerk who typically buys their debris. In the meantime, Sullivan is meeting with the reporter who called him out. Sullivan explains that he does not select citizens based on their economic status. Instead, his system uses DNA tests to select people with the best genes. The reporter points out that UTS is depleting the Earth's economy and producing excessive space waste, thereby hastening the planet's demise. Sullivan becomes creepy as he describes how he saw everyone in his village die when he was young and lost his family, so he promised to make humanity better. At the same time, His guards bring an unconscious black fox and drop him to the ground. Sullivan tells the reporter that if he shoots the fox, he will become a citizen, and the reporter reluctantly does so. However, Sullivan sees this as proof that the guy is trash and kills him while his skin changes color. Back with the crew, they confront the kidnappers while Dorothy rushes to the restroom. Zhang points out that robots do not poop and concludes Dorothy is human, which Bubs confirms. Then she uses a special light to reveal the kidnappers' tattoos, proving they are black foxes. The group explains that the foxes are not terrorists, but rather an environmental organization. Dorothy was born with a nerve-destroying illness, so her father, Kang, injected nanobots into her body. These not only repaired her nerves, but also gave her special plant-growing abilities, allowing her to heal Earth and eliminating the need for Sullivan's Mars project. When Sullivan learned about Dorothy, he ordered his guards to kill her. The labs and scientists who worked with her were destroyed, but Dorothy was spared because the only way to kill a nanobot is with a hydrogen bomb. Such a bomb can be found inside the factory's anti-gravity system, so the soldiers plan to place her there and blow it up, causing the factory to crash on Earth and cause enough natural and nuclear disasters to put an end to it. In short, Sullivan wishes to cleanse humanity. Suddenly, they hear gunshots and realize the soldiers have arrived at the factory and are looking for them by shooting anyone in their way. The foxes flee through the back door, while Zhang and Tiger proceed normally through the corridors pretending to be random workers. Taeho and Dorothy escape through the vents, but Dorothy sneezes and a soldier notices them. They begin moving faster as the soldier opens fire, and Yang creates a distraction by activating Victory. Taeho and Dorothy make it to a bridge and run as they dodge the guards' fire, jumping at the last second to board the ship before it departs. When a soldier jumps and lands on top of Taeho, it pulls Dorothy down until they both fall. The soldier lands perfectly and prepares to catch the girl, only for Tiger to swing by and catch her first. Once everyone is aboard, Taeho takes off as quickly as possible. There are missiles following them, and one of them explodes too close to the ship, sending it into the debris field. Soon, Victory begins to fail, and the crew is unable to keep up with all of the necessary repairs, allowing a nanobot infestation to enter the ship. As the nanobots cover the entire Victory, Dorothy activates her abilities and dispatches them all in seconds. She then passes out, and Tiger notices her heart has stopped, so he immediately begins CPR. To his surprise, Dorothy farts and then wakes up as if nothing happened. Victory soon leaves the debris field and receives news that the crew members are now wanted criminals. They've been identified as Black Fox's members and even blamed for the attacks on the club and the factory. At the same time, Sullivan is undergoing medical treatment and reviewing the crew's files. Zhang used to be an engineer for the UTS Genius program and invented some important devices, but she left at the age of 19 to form an anti-UTS organization. She attempted to assassinate Sullivan but failed, killing her entire group in the process. Tiger used to be a cartel leader on Earth who fled the planet to avoid capture after being sentenced to death. If he is caught, he will be executed immediately. Taeho was the Space Guard's inaugural commander, and the first soldier Sullivan brought into the company in his own arms. Moments later, the Victory crew receives a message from the Foxes and meets inside an old colony. When they arrive aboard, Dorothy rushes to reunite with Kang, while Yang notices something strange. This place is covered in EMP explosives, which activate and shut down all of the ship's systems, including Bubs. At that point, the soldiers enter Victory and begin shooting at the Foxes before kidnapping Dorothy. Zhang's crew attempts to assist her, but the soldiers quickly knock them down. The trio is only arrested, but all of the Foxes are killed, including Kang. Sullivan arrives and inserts a hand into Zhang's mouth to extract a microchemical bomb, which he nearly used to commit suicide. He doesn't kill anyone because of their shared history, instead talking about his plan. Then he drops a large sum of money as payment for Dorothy, mocking Taeho for taking it to find his daughter. Sullivan then orders his people to put Dorothy in the factory and crash it on Earth. Then he appears as a hologram in front of all UTS students, announcing that Mars is ready for human habitation. Back in Victory, Taeho is collecting his share of the money, but the others think it's dirty and refuse to accept it. In fact, they want to rescue Dorothy, despite Taeho's warning that they will die trying. While Dorothy is tied to the hydrogen bomb, Taeho hires a search company to find his daughter. While waiting, he goes through her old things and finds some loving words she wrote for him, despite the fact that he was a drunkard who ignored her at the time. Taeho returns to Victory, realizing he is doing the same thing, and agrees to help rescue Dorothy. As Taeho flies as fast as he can, Zhang takes out her old rebel gun and stands outside the ship, firing at the incoming soldiers. She can't keep up with everything, so Bubs emerges and begins swinging among the enemy ships, destroying them with her harpoon. Unfortunately, the harpoon breaks, and Bubs has to return. Tai-Ho instructs Tiger to push the machinery to its limits and launches Victory toward Earth, only to pull it back at the last second. The missiles that follow them are too slow and burn up as they travel through the atmosphere. There are still a few ships following them, but Victory moves quickly and enters the factory just in time. The crew rushes inside the gravity chamber to rescue Dorothy. Jang investigates the bomb's programming and discovers that the detonator is inside, indicating that if she attempts to hack it, it will detonate. They need to transport Dorothy over 5,000 kilometers away so that the shock waves do not destroy her nanobots. A soldier arrives and quickly knocks Tai-Ho and Jang out, interrupting their discussion. Tiger tells Dorothy to return to the ship while Bubs fights the soldier, but she is also easily defeated. Tiger then tackles the soldier into a corridor and locks the door behind him. Tiger tries his hardest to fight, but the soldier is too powerful and easily beats him up. A desperate Tiger chooses to open the hatch, resulting in both of them being sucked out by the pressure change. Tiger uses his axe to defeat the soldier and climbs back into the chamber. As the crew prepares to leave, they are informed that attack drones are on their way. Jang initiates communication with the other sweepers and explains Sullivan's plan, asking for assistance. Jang flies Victory out of the factory as quickly as possible while shooting as many drones as she can. When they get outside, they find all of the factory workers and other sweepers waiting in their ships. Working together, the sweepers begin to bring down dozens of drones at the same time with impressive accuracy, allowing Yang's crew to safely fly away to rescue Dorothy. Meanwhile, Victory's recording of Sullivan's monologue is broadcast, and all of humanity is now aware of the truth. A furious Sullivan flees in his own ship and encounters Victory, opening fire to stop them. Jang fires back as Tai-Ho flies as fast as he can, but the shaking causes some metal to fall, trapping Yang underneath. Sullivan suddenly uses a mechanical arm to strike Victory, and Yang ends up floating away from the ship. Next, Sullivan climbs on top of Victory, and Bubs attempts to stop him, only to be cut in two. A wounded Jang manages to hold onto the ship and reach the booster system, activating it just in time to propel Victory into a flying speed that throws Sullivan off. Unfortunately, the booster does not last long, and Sullivan returns to Victory, this time using the mechanical arms to break it open. To his surprise, he discovers the bomb inside. It turns out that the crew took the bomb with them when they left the factory, dropping Dorothy off with the other sweepers before flying away. This way, they served as bait for Sullivan, while also saving everyone's lives, even if it meant losing their own. The other sweepers watch in tears as the bomb explodes, killing Sullivan and destroying Victory. Dorothy activates her powers and controls the nanobots, which safely transport the largest piece of Victory out of the explosion while the crew remains alive. UTS later apologizes for the cover-up and promises to begin work on restoring Earth. The sweepers are well compensated for their heroism, so their debt is paid, and Bubs finally has the body she desires. Tai-Ho transports Dorothy to the search company, where she connects to the nanobots in the debris area, allowing her to search for his daughter's DNA. Tai-Ho sees a projection of her body and meets her in the astral plane to say goodbye. Dorothy is adopted by the crew, and they live happily ever after as the Earth returns to green.